My friends, do you see how valuable our breaths are? Every single breath of life that you take is a blessing. Because just as you took your breath right now, someone else, somewhere else on earth, just took their last breath. And if there's any time in the world where we would understand the value of breaths, I think during this pandemic, this is the best time to understand that. So you know who's really special today? All of you are special today. So write down, I am special if you're feeling special today. Because the truth is you are. Now, what if I told you that when I came into this world, every breath I took was almost my last? I came out of my mother's womb with 40 fractures all over my body. The doctors rushed me into the ICU of another hospital 20 miles away, or almost like 40 kilometers away from where I was born. And these were the sounds that resonated throughout the hospital as I, the baby in this video, clung to every breath of life I could muster. By the way, all of this happened while my mother was still sleeping. When she woke up from her surgery, instead of seeing her son, she and my father only saw doctors coming into the room. Can you imagine the pain of a mother who can't even see her first child coming into the world? Some of you may be mothers here. What if that was your child? The doctors told my parents that I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta. It's a rare, incurable genetic disorder that makes a person's bones extremely fragile. The doctors gave me 2 days to live. Write down 2 in the chat box. That's how many days I had to live. And my condition was so severe that on my second day of life, they asked my parents to sign a permission slip that would order them to take me out of life support if my condition worsened. Can you believe that? Tears were streaming down my mom and dad's eyes. How could they answer the doctors right away? So they said they would think about it. Now, I want to know from you, how many of you have been through a time in your lives when everything's falling apart and you start asking yourself, God, why me? How many of you have asked this? A lot of you, huh? Well, you weren't alone. That's what my parents were wondering the day I was born. So my parents I was born in the USA. So my parents in the USA called my grandfather all the way in India. They woke him up in the middle of the night and asked him for the answer to this question. And do you know what my grandfather told my dad? It literally changed everything. He said this, Beta, son, God gave you Sparsh because he knew you would be the best parents for him. And let me tell you, from that day forward, my parents never asked God why us anymore, but instead they decided to say, thank God for us. So if you feel the same shift in attitude or you want to get to this point in life, then why don't you write down, thank God for me. So, can you guess what my parents did about the doctor's permission slip? Do you think they signed it or do you think they didn't sign it? Tell me. Yeah, the people who said they didn't sign it. Yes, they did not sign that permission slip. But the battle wasn't over for me, and it still isn't. I spent my first 6 months fighting for my life in hospitals, but because of God's grace, I survived. But then my parents asked the doctors, when would I come home? And the doctors answered, he won't be coming home. We want to put him in an institution. But my mom would have none of it. She fought with all the doctors to bring me home. But coming home had its own challenges. I was so delicate during my first year of life that, as you can see, I had to be lifted up by a pillow. And I had to wear 6 diapers at once. So now you know who inspired the writers of the Super Diaper Baby comic books. Just kidding. I also used an NG tube for my first year of life because I had severe GI reflux. And though I could fluently read by the age of 3, I couldn't hold a pencil for my first 3 years. And on top of all this, I kept breaking bones and underwent many surgeries. So even though I may have a body of glass, I am titanium. Do you feel like you're titanium in life? If so, why don't you write that down in the chat box? And now, 18 years, 140 broken bones, 8 rods, and 22 screws later, I'm here, standing, or should I say, sitting in front of you all today. So no more sob stories, because that's not what I want to talk to you about today. I'm not here today with you to share a story of sorrow. I'm here to share a story of strength. I'm not here to share a story of pity. I'm here to share a story of positivity. I'm not here to share a story of adversity. I am here to share a story of overcoming adversity, a story of ambition. I'm not here to share a story of failure. I'm here to share a story of faith. It is this strength, this positivity, this ambition, and this faith that has brought me and my family here today. So today I want to share with you just 2 simple life lessons I learned that made me unstoppable. And how if you understand and use these lessons, you too can become unstoppable in life. So y'all have a notepad or anywhere where you write notes with you? Because I want to show you how to be unstoppable. Who wants to learn how to be unstoppable? All right. So what's the first lesson? Everything happens for the greater good. Can someone write that down, please? Everything happens for the greater good. Many of you may know this saying that says, when one door closes, another opens. But see, I want to update that. You see, I used to believe that my medical condition was a closed door in my life. Now I see that nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, God never closed the door on me by giving me this fragile body. He only gave me a window instead of a door. How many of you have doors in your life that you think are closed, but in actuality are windows? Say me if that's the case with you. So this is why I thank God for making me differently abled. My medical condition was there for the greater good. It's shown me that it's not just okay, but it's necessary to be different if you want to change the world. Who agrees with me? My condition has strengthened my character. So have you let your circumstances strengthen your character? I think our world right now could use a lot of character strengthening. Would you agree with me? COVID-19 has claimed millions of lives worldwide, and it has battered our economies, our societies. But as Albert Einstein observed, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. You agree? The Japanese also have this proverb: fall down 7 times, stand up 8. And you know why? Because life's failures are not the ones who are knocked out. They are the ones who stay knocked out because they failed to realize how close they were to winning the fight. So I believe there's no better time than now for us to adapt, to take charge of the increasing digitalization and globalization of society. Anyone agree with me here? So why don't we focus on our gifts instead of our problems in life? God may have given me this body, but it's a gift. And on top of that, He also gave me a unique voice. And I found that voice through music. Music has tremendously impacted me. Whenever I'd break a bone, I would put music on and it would whisk me away from the pain. Indeed, quite humorously, I was once inspired to write a song after breaking my humerus. Whenever I felt down, I'd listen to a song that lifted me up or turn to a sad song I resonated with. Physically, music became my distraction, But emotionally, it became my outlet. And spiritually, it became my fulfillment. Do you have a voice in your life like that? That is the same for you. My parents were the ones who discovered that I had an uncanny musical talent. So when I was 3 years old, I began learning the keyboard. Unfortunately, I kept breaking my arms, so I didn't get to play it often. But don't worry, I never broke a bone because of the keyboard. But my mom told me something really thought-provoking early in my life. She said, Sparsh, no matter how many bones you break in your life, your voice will never break. So at the age of 6, I started learning to sing. But I truly found my voice through music at the age of 10. I wasn't able to find any existing songs that described my feelings and my story. So I decided, you know what? I have to write my story and my feelings. I started writing my own songs. But then I didn't know how to record or make the music for them. And I had almost no one to go to for help. So necessity became the mother of invention, and creativity became the father. And I started learning to produce music 6 years ago on my computer, on my music software. Now that I'm learning to make my own music, the sky is no longer the limit for me. So even in my musical journey, certain hardships happened to me for the greater good. If I had stopped learning music just because I couldn't play the piano when I was younger, would I become the musician I am today? Tell me. If I didn't face the frustration of being unable to express myself with the songs that already existed, would I have ever become a songwriter? If I had not faced the frustration of being unable to compose and record the music for my songs, would I have learned to produce my own music? No, right? There were 2 reasons, ultimately, that I never gave up on myself and my craft. The first reason was that I saw all my challenges not as setbacks, but as set-ups. Not as roadblocks, but building blocks to help me rise above. So what are your challenges? What's holding you back? And how can you turn your setbacks into set-ups and your roadblocks into building blocks? Can everyone start typing a challenge they face in life? And one thing that they're going to do to turn that around and make the setback a setup. Let's do that. The first reason, again, everything happens for the greater good. The second reason I never gave up on myself and my craft is the second life lesson I want to share with you today. Never believe that you can't. Can someone write this, please? Never believe that you can't. Because the thing is, I never believed that I couldn't. Even when I was only a local and statewide singer. Even when I was only getting a couple hundred views per video on my YouTube channel. Believe it or not, before I became very popular, I had so many videos beforehand. But through it all, I never believed that I could not improve and learn new things. And I never believed that I couldn't achieve big things. And one day, things began happening in my life that were bigger than I'd ever imagined. In the fall of 2015, I found mainstream rap through the song Not Afraid made by the rapper Eminem. I won't talk much about it since I've talked about it before and you can find that online. But I've rendered the song in my unique way. And to my pleasant surprise, my cover of Not Afraid became the most viewed Eminem cover ever. And it received 80 million views and it's still counting on all my social media. But Not Afraid was just the beginning, and I started getting many more opportunities in my career. Soon, I got to tell my story on the stage of TEDx Gateway in Mumbai in 2015, and that speech has over 25 million views on social media now. There, I also first announced my big dream as a musician, to perform in front of over 1 billion people one day. Can someone write 1 billion in the chat box? And guess what? 4 years after my TED Talk, I reached that dream not just once, but twice. Can someone write twice in the chat? The first time was on the season 10 finale of Kaun Banega Crorepati, hosted by Shri Amitabh Bachchan, which over 1 billion people watched. And the second time was at the Howdy Modi event in front of India's Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and former US President Mr. Donald Trump, which over 2 billion people watched. And besides this dream, I've been humbled and blessed to reach many more career milestones, including raising over $1.80 million for various nonprofits and finally releasing 2 of my own songs during the COVID-19 pandemic. But I don't mean to brag here. I just want to show you all that the only reason I achieved all I did in such a short span of time is because I believed I could do it. So how many of you have been told that you can't do something in life? Probably everyone. Well, when I was born, people told my parents that I was a lost cause. I couldn't walk, I couldn't write, I couldn't eat. I still can't walk, but now I've flown to 9 countries in person to perform and speak to people. I couldn't write before, but now I've written over 70 songs myself. I couldn't eat before, but now everyone who knows me can tell you I am a definite foodie. So my friends, please don't let anyone tell you that you can't, but more importantly, please don't ever tell yourself that you can't. Because if I believed that I couldn't do anything meaningful in my life because of my medical condition, I would not have been followed by people in over 180 countries. In fact, I don't even think I would have gone beyond the walls of my house. What's my point? The second you hold yourself back from your potential, you hold yourself back from your bright and vibrant future. That's why Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Do you believe that? Say yes if you do. If you believe that you can achieve greatness, of course you'll never reach your goals. Your judgment is too low, your expectations is too low. But if you believe that your vision can reach the world, you will make it come true, 110%. Because now you have the willingness and tenacity to follow through no matter the cost. But of course, success is a journey, not a destination. I've gone very far, but I still have such a long way left to go. Who feels like they also have a long way to go? How many of you feel that way? I have many future plans for my life, but I'll tell you what's most important for me. I want to sparsh or touch everyone's hearts all over the world. I want to leave my footprints, or rather track prints, into the sand of legacy so deep that not even tsunamis will erase them. I want to show people that if I can be unstoppable no matter the hardships in my life, you can too. So what is your vision today? It could be for your career, relationships, your physical, mental, or spiritual health. Anything. You could have many visions or one vision encompassing everything. But let's think about that for a second. One more time, can we all close our eyes again? But this time, when you breathe in and hold that breath for 10 seconds with the timer, imagine that it really is your last breath that you will ever take in this life. So think about what you want to do before you leave this earth. Are you ready?